Hello? Hello? Elle, are you there? Amber, are you there? Amber. Hi, John.
I'm in.
Very,
Hi,
very
hello.
good. I keep saying hi to Amber, but she's not responding.
Oh, okay. Who actually does the Zoom meetings? Is that from you, or how's that work?
It's from Amber.
Okay,
Amber's
I'm
doing
here.
it. Okay.
There she is.
I had to make sure my microphone wasn't muted again. Okay.
Yes, you better, or else I'm going to hit you with that golf cart.
Well, at least John's there to talk to you.
Are you there? There you go. There you go.
So, let me see. Hi, Mama.
Is it,
Okay. I'm trying to make sure.
so it's the three of us again?
Yes.
Okay.
People really seem to like the three of us.
Yeah, it seems to be a hit. Our crowd is growing.
Yes, we're a hit.
Yes. Pretty. I'm in.
Very, very good. I keep Amber, but she's not.
What?
Okay. Yeah, my speaker was still on here, so I had it muted.
Bubba says, "Good morning, Vietnam."
Yeah.
Boy, okay. I don't know how many people we got in here right at the moment. Okay. We got some people in here.
Showing five. Showing five.
So, I just got wind of the fact that Oakland Port is now the next focus. Remember, we had the Long Beach Port. Now it's Oakland Port. Now, what they're saying, and this comes from very good sources like Dave Hodges. I can't remember what Mike's last name is still. Stephen Quayle. The reports are coming in from a caller from California. The port that usually, in Oakland Port, usually has a bunch of Navy there. The Navy has actually left. They've pulled out of that port. The gang members that are in the area are moving stuff out, in and out from the port in trucks. Now, this doesn't sound right to me, and I sat here and I was eating my taco salad, and I thought, boy, something, and I'm hoping, okay, my microphone is on. Okay, I was sitting here thinking, boy, something isn't right. How did all of this start happening? Well, remember when the UN and Alex Jones, I know a lot of people may not like him, and he may be kind of crazy, and he's a really good boisterous actor and all that. He does bring truth to the table, okay? And he was putting on, when all this was happening, when those migrants were rushing our borders, I mean, we're talking of tens of thousands of migrants. They were military-aged men. Sorry, I get excited there. Okay, they were military. I saw the pictures. I saw the videos. Yes, there was some women and children. I'm not denying that. Yes, there was probably some migrants among them. But most of those people who came over the border were military-aged men, probably trained by either the UN or somebody. They came into our country. Most of them went to California because the state of California is a sanctuary state. Washington State has sanctuary cities. Oregon has sanctuary cities. They went into Arizona, Texas, New Mexico, God knows where else. Okay? They were told to lay low. The UN had their orders to lay low until given the order. They are now the gangs, and I'm sure that some of those that came, that's what they came across our borders for, and they let them in by the tens of thousands. And I knew it when I was seeing it. They are now arming them. This has been told by a police force. The gangs, is what they're calling them, are being armed by the United Nations. And there was something, and I can play this whole thing if anybody wants to hear it, about the CIA is getting ready to be inactivated. I don't know what they have a role in anything. Do you know why would they be activated?
Who's that? I think what you kind of cut out on me for a second there. Who is that you're talking about there?
The CIA.
Oh, CIA. Well, if there's something going on, they're always going to be activated. They're always going to be in the middle of that. They're always heavily involved in everything.
Right.
Whether it's black ops or whatever it is, they're always going to be in the middle of that. In the middle of that operation.
Well, it's just kind of weird that the Navy, this lady was saying that this is the Port of Oakland, there's a lot of Navy that it's around there, and it's always hustling and bustling with military. Why did they leave?
Yeah,
She said it's like a ghost town now of our military, except now for the gangs and the UN. The UN, remember when I said a couple days ago that there was Chinese soldiers in blue UN helmets that were seen in San Diego, Los Angeles, San Francisco. Now they're being sighted in Canada. And they're all Chinese. That's what everybody's reporting. They are Chinese. Why is that?
Well, that's a good question.
Something ain't right here. That's all I gotta say. Something isn't right.
Yeah, something's going crazy there.
Yeah, and I don't know if you all want to hear what I heard, because it's only about 14 minutes long. Actually, it's not even that long. Dave Hodges actually explains this, and the lady that gets on the phone is telling people what she's seen and is confirming it, and I believe her. I've heard that we had somebody in our chat room last night that worked for the... it might have been Twiggy. I don't remember which one it was. It might have been. That worked for the city. I think it was Twiggy. Yeah, I think it was. You know, something's going on. And then last night while we were on live, we heard that there was 7 explosions, right? Well, yeah. Today they had 7 fires. Then 4 more got added. So they have 11 fires right now. Los Angeles is burning down. San Fernando Valley, surrounding places in Los Angeles, there's 100,000 people that were fleeing. They actually fled in a pack so fast that they closed down some of the highways because they were too congested. 100,000 people fleeing from Los Angeles, and that was about 5 hours ago.
No, joking. Are you serious?
I am serious as a heart attack.
Oh my goodness. Wow. I did not know this.
Yeah, something's going crazy there.
No, and what's weird is the fact that, okay, they shut off the electricity to prevent the wind from causing fires. There's about 3 million people at this point now currently without electricity. If you shut off that much electricity to prevent the forest fires, why is Los Angeles burning down?
Yeah, and did you hear there were multiple reports of explosions
Yes.
before those fires occurred? There were multiple from
Yes.
multiple folks.
There was 7 explosions last night while we were live. And then today, get
Oh my
this,
God.
there was 4 more added to it, so now there's a total of 11 fires. All with explosions before that happened. Explosions from what?
Yeah, explosions from what? I'm sure that they'll say that it was a transformer, but that makes no sense with the power being off.
Yeah, SGT report is reporting that there were 5. They have some like weather satellite video that they had, and they showed 5 explosions in the LA area, and then that's where the fires were right afterwards. But they showed 5 of them from yesterday.
Are they saying what these explosions are? Because I haven't found anything. They just said explosions. From what? Every time something happens, they tell us, like, oh, it was a transformer. They're not saying nothing.
Yeah, nobody's saying anything right now. And I'm looking at live traffic reports from LA, or up-to-date information here. And it looks like the I-210 is absolutely jammed at this point. It says it's just completely stopped everywhere on
Oh my
I-210
goodness.
inside Los Angeles.
That's because.
But see, my thing is that how can it be a transformer when they have the power off? That makes no sense.
You know, think about the city that just happened to. What is the main thing that you take out first is cities, right?
Right. You know, John McCain, this is when he was alive. He was on Larry King, and this was many, many years ago. And this always has been in the back of my mind. He said, with a very weird grin on his face, he said that America is going to get an attack that is far worse than 9/11. And I believe Donald Trump said the same thing on Fox News. This was after 9/11, and he was being interviewed. But I could be wrong about Donald Trump, but I just remember Donald Trump talking about another attack. And this was right after 9/11, and he was speaking on Fox News. Kind of gives you goosebumps.
It does, but and then here my brain goes trying to.
But I mean, but fear is not of the Lord. It's just these folks are total serpents.
Right, but then here's my brain trying to go to biblical. You know, I know that the the Armageddon and those wars are not until the end, and Jesus takes care of it. But I'm trying to think, is this possible? Is this biblical that we get attacked or something happens like this? Or what is going on?
Order out of chaos. That's what is on our money. So, and Henry Kissinger has always spoke of stuff on this level. And I believe the Rothschild, there's a one of them said it too. Something along these lines that it'll take just the right
pressure. Right?
Yeah, something, and it'll take just the right attack or just the right event or something to bring in the new world order. Yeah, it was something along those lines. But he's dead now. It was the guy, it was the fat one who was old. No, it was a Rothschild. He was, he had like a weird smile and he was fat. And he's the one that had like the 10 heart transplants and all that. And then he finally died. At least I think it's a Rothschild. It might be a Rockefeller. It was Rockefeller, not Rothschild. Sorry, it was Rockefeller.
Talking David Rockefeller?
Yeah, David Rockefeller. Yes, I cannot believe I said Rothschild. It was Rockefeller. That's who it was. He's the one who said, I'm going to have to find exactly what he said. But it's something.
Here's what I found out today. This is interesting, too. Guess who owns PG&E? The Rothschilds.
Yeah, the Rothschild. Yeah, that's who owns it. That's exactly right.
I think they're doing some test marketing. I think this is what it's all about. They're doing some test marketing.
Okay, but
they always do test marketing.
Right, but today that was talked about, and I wish I could remember the word that was used. Sometimes the God, what was the word? It's the military or the UN or whoever's doing it right now. They go in to have this practice test, right? And they're like, well, if this situation was to happen, this is what we would do. And then it goes live because that's the way they surprise their enemy. They say it's a practice. They say this is what we're practicing for. And you up and down the West Coast, we have heard Cascadia Subduction Zone. Here's the maps to run. Cascadia Subduction Zone. You're all going to die. Cascadia Subduction Zone. Here comes the UN. They're having meetings all the frick over the place. They're having escape plans. They're getting everybody on the West Coast so damn scared about dying underwater and a 9.0 earthquake, people can't even focus. People have actually moved. So maybe this is a practice test that's going to go live, or it's already live. Why do you think so much power's out if the Rothschilds, and I didn't even freaking know they owned PG&E. I am freaking floored right now. That makes sense. They're doing this on purpose because they're bringing in the order out of chaos to bring in the system. Watch it happen.
That's right.
They're doing it.
That is right. That's exactly right.
I thought, and I'm trying to think back in my little tiny brainy, I thought we were like safe and like
oh well, we are definitely, we are covered, we are totally covered by our lamb, but nobody is really safe. I mean, even with all of the crime, I mean, so you got to take that into into account too. I just don't like large crowds. I never have.
I don't either.
I've had to deal with them all my life.
Oh my goodness. Walmart's hard enough, man. It gives you road rage with a basket. I get road rage with a basket. It's so funny. So I have to forget the big ones and I have to go to the food ones, the small ones.
Oh yeah.
Try going.
Well, I tell you, it's different when you're doing big shows all the time. You got packed houses and all that, and I've done plenty of that.
There's no way.
It's a surreal experience. I can tell you that.
I bet it is.
Yes, it's.
Amber, you said try going where?
Try going to Walmart in Houston.
There's no way. There's no way. No way. No, thank you. No, thank you.
It was horrifying. Just try to go to the damn grocery store in Houston. Was horrifying.
No, thank you. Yeah, I can't even imagine. There's no way. I went to a Walmart in D.C. once. That was horrifying.
My ultimate is go to a Costco on the weekend.
There's no way, John. There's no way. I cannot stand large crowds.
It's a total mosh pit.
Yeah. It is a mosh pit. It really is.
I get pissy.
It's crazy.
I bet you do.
Yeah, I do. Everybody's bugging you and farting in the aisles and doing all sorts of weird crap.
Oh my goodness, yes, they do.
Yeah.
They do. People do. They let them rip in the grocery stores.
Right.
And when you walk into one, that is like a kung fu fart, man. You're down. It's like you're smiling and then you're throwing up. I mean, it's terrible. I can't even tell you. And it's probably because I crack so many fart jokes, but I always walk into farts just randomly.
Yeah.
And it is terrible. It is terrible.
It only usually happens to me at Walmart.
Yeah, at Walmart. Exactly.
Walmart's like fart central. And in Houston, everybody's doing it.
I wonder. Exactly. Hey, John, at the casinos, have you ever walked into somebody's fart?
I have no sense of smell, so I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well, then that's a good thing.
It's usually a good thing, yeah. Well, the biggest thing is all the perfume and that all these women wear when they go through the casinos.
Oh, good Lord. Yeah, there's no way.
Yeah. There's more of that than anything
imagine.
else. And then, of course, you got a bunch of people smoking on top of it. So, I mean, it's a real... But, of course, they do have some of the best air exchangers, so it's really not as bad. It's a lot better than you think it would be.
I would prefer smelling perfume over methane, so,
Yeah, the perfume is better.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, what's really bad is when like for me, when I'm dealing poker, I'm sitting next to somebody that's wearing a lot of perfume. I can't get away from them. So I'm stuck.
Yeah, because they wear the whole bottle.
Oh, yeah,
I don't know how they afford it because some of the perfumes are $60 a bottle and they just wear it all in one trip.
Yeah. Yeah, it's insane.
The methane though, Amber, that hit my core. That was too funny.
Yeah, it's funny after you're done barfing, so it's and it's always those ones that are just horrifying. So
it is. Yeah.
But back to, I'm just kind of thinking like, what the hell is happening to California? Because I'm kind of not. It's not like I'm freaking out, but I'm like, holy crap, Batman! Robin lost his egg. Shit's going down. Lights are out, and there's funky movement going on. Oh, and then you guys, when we were live last night, that oil tanker got 2 missiles. They said they don't know who did it. Iran today said it was a unidentified craft. What's unidentified?
Oh my goodness.
What does that mean?
What is identified?
Well, that can mean a couple of things. One, it can mean something super secret they don't want to talk about, or it could mean that we're trying to make up something, and that's why we're calling it that. So it's hard to know. With these people, they lie so much, it's just hard to know which one it is.
And they called it detonation.
Yeah, they're calling it missiles. They're calling it all kinds of things, but I haven't been able to find any real confirmation of what it really was. That's the thing. I still haven't been able to really find solid evidence anywhere.
No, me either. I've been searching all day. But another thing, too, is... Oh, what is this? Oh, this just in. Boy, let me open this. It says they're cutting... What? They're open to cutting U.S. aid to Israel if it annexes the West Bank. Who is? The Democratic majority for Israel sent a questionnaire out to primary candidates to gauge where they stand on key issues regarding Israel. The results were released on Friday. Israel's right to exist and defend itself went unchallenged, with candidates expressing support for the country. It is not necessary for Benjamin Netanyahu or his relationship with President Donald Trump. Well, how does that mean they're cutting budget? So,
I'll never put too much into that one.
Well, no, but it does feel like I found some stuff today, and this was kind of like triggering my thoughts. Netanyahu said that, or they're saying Netanyahu is too experienced and too cautious to attack Trump directly because he's really angry that Trump pulled out those troops without even giving them warning. He said on the final section of his remarks on Mount Herzl show that his assessment is that times are changing. He's basically saying that Trump is that the United States is turning their back on Israel because by taking, and we talked about this, I know this, we said this, by taking our troops out of the Syrian border is giving way for the enemies to surround Israel. Listen to this. It's not that tomorrow we will have defense problems because the Americans have left northern Syria. And this is Benjamin Netanyahu. It goes to the role of America as a superpower in the Middle East. If the Americans leave, it is easier for Iran. It is easier for Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. It is easier for Hezbollah. And all these are our enemies to surround Israel. He also said, let's see, that on Thursday, Netanyahu spoke at the annual memorial ceremony for the fallen of Yom Kippur War on Jerusalem, Mount Herzl. As usual, he concentrated his remarks on Iran, calling it the focal point of present aggression in the Middle East. He noted, Iran is striving to strengthen its hold in Lebanon, in Syria, in Iraq, in Yemen, and in the Gaza Strip. It's arming itself, crossing its boldness, bar time, and again. Iran is threatening to wipe us off the map. Explicitly, Israel will disappear. And I said this yesterday, I said if we take our troops out of these strategic places, this is opening the door for the kings of the East to surround Israel, and Trump knows that. You have Iran right now with all its militias and feeding into the people. Iraq is in a freaking uproar. You have Syria in a freaking uproar. You have Egypt in an uproar. You have all these countries, the portions past on the east of the river Euphrates are marching over. This is because Hezbollah, this is Iran, they are just reinstated ISIS. They bombed the prison in
Can you
Syria.
go back and tell me, can you tell me what about Mount Herzl again? Can you repeat that?
Okay, let me go back to your message I sent you.
Because Mount Herzl was named after Theodore Herzl. That's why I cannot talk right now. That's a big one.
Yeah,
he's the founding father of the state of Israel.
He was giving a speech on Thursday. Netanyahu spoke at the annual memorial ceremony, I can't talk either, for the falling of the Yom Kippur War on Jerusalem on Mount Herzl? As usual, he concentrated on his marks on Iran. So they were celebrating basically the Yom Kippur War, and Netanyahu said it was just like the Yom Kippur War, where the Americans didn't come until the end. And they're doing it again. It's repeating.
Wow. And you and I were even talking about that last night, how it's like that war was being recreated.
Yeah, you said that. You're like, this is like a repeat. And I'm thinking, a repeat? And then it hit me with this today. I was like, holy crap, Batman. That even Netanyahu saying this is just repeating. And by the United States pulling those troops out, have now opened up the floodgates for Hezbollah. They bombed the prison strategically in Syria where ISIS was held. They released ISIS, and they're reforming ISIS again to come for Jerusalem.
Wow. Wow.
And you can't tell me, and then something else. But you can't tell me that Trump didn't know. He knows. Everybody knows this.
Yeah, he definitely knows. He's
a total insider. He knows all the plays. He's got.
Oh, yes, he does. Excellent. Well said, John.
And then on top of that, Trump is sending not just 1,000, but thousands of our troops are on the way to Saudi Arabia borders, and Saudi Arabia has agreed, another agreement, to pay for it.
Wow.
So they are now.
That gets interesting.
So now between the Prince of the Bone Sawman and Trump made a deal, another deal, and they are now paying for our troops, our men and women, to go over there and fight their war. But they're getting paid this time. Does that make it any better? You know what Trump did is you go and you pull them out and say, hey, you don't want to pay us, you don't even like us, you don't respect us, screw off, we're moving out, die. Because that's what is happening. They're slaughtering the Kurds.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's getting very ugly over there, that's for sure.
That's definitely for sure.
Yeah, I wonder why. That always, Would Lucifer have anything to do with that, I wonder? Because, boy, it's sure getting gnarly. And if it's not Lucifer, he's going to be here shortly. But I don't know.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's definitely his spirit. I mean, yeah. So, like, the days are definitely numbered. They're definitely numbered.
Yeah. I think next year, I think 2020 is going to be a major year of action.
Most definitely, John. Most definitely. I can't agree more.
Hey,
we've got so many things going on, so everywhere. Just everything's such a fever pitch everywhere you look. There's no way this is going on for another 5-10 years.
No.
Hey, Olive Branch, can you open up? My Zoom is getting ready to expire in like 10 minutes. It's saying it's going to shut off.
And what you want me to do is open up another Zoom?
Yeah, if you could. Then we'll just...
Yeah, I'll do it right now.
We'll just switch over.
So just stay in the room here, okay?
Okay.
I'm going to get out and I'll post and mine does not have a password. I turned that off. So I'm going to leave and I'm going to open up a new one.
Okay, sounds good. I didn't know the Zoom has a...
I think it's a 45-minute time limit.
Yeah, something like that. So Twiggy says Logic. Yeah, I've been following Logic Before Authority today.
Yeah, that was a source that SGT report was also quoting today too.
Yeah. And I'm going to play, let's see, this really quick. Let me see if this is where I found it at while she's doing that.
Today. And then I had confirmation from a federal law enforcement agent. As I've gotten into this, of the events in Morgan Hills, there is an underground base there. This is what I've been told. Who controls the underground base, what it's for, I have no idea. But I do know that it exists, and you're absolutely correct. Marilyn, I'm going to throw some things out that complement what you're saying. Number one, I've had 2 conversations today, and then I had confirmation from a federal law enforcement agent. The gangs are being armed as we speak to go active, and the arming agent are rogue elements of the CIA. That's consistent, and there are real prominent people in the independent media who also have this information, and I'll trust them to bring it out with their own sources, so I don't feel I need to name drop and tell them who they are. But I've been hearing what you're saying all day long. The second thing that's interesting is you said in the report you sent me regarding this source at the shipyard that the naval activity that's usually bustling has gone down to next to zero. Well, this is what we're seeing at Miramar Naval Air Station in San Diego, where one of Paul Martin's sources that we have cited a couple of times through this crisis, this gentleman says that Miramar was flying sorties 24/7. The airport there was nonstop with activity, and over the last day, nothing is happening. Nothing. Everything is grounded. And I will tell you what that tells us. And I had a conversation, again, with a federal agent, independent media people, Paul Martin. A lot of us feel this is all quiet on the Western Front, and it's almost go time. And listen, this is just speculation, but it makes sense that they're getting their briefings. And then one more thing, Operation Q, Blue Sky. have been sent this evening, not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 4 times. 10,000 Marines to California for unspecified drilling in unspecified locations, plural.
Hoorah!
Yeah.
So you see, like, the shit's going down.
Yeah, something's definitely going on.
And why is it switching from Trump taking the port back from China, saying the deal's over, that was Long Beach port, to searching for missiles because China accidentally dropped 3 of those metal containers in the ocean, and then the military was searching those cargo vessels and inside for missiles. Now all of a sudden it's switched to Oak Bay port. All this military crap's going on. Our military has pulled back is what I'm getting from that, but yet there's some operation getting ready to come out because they're getting their briefing. I mean, something serious is going down here.
Oh yeah, something is going on, and it sounds highly unusual. That's for sure.
Yeah, and Dave Hodges is actually a good source. I've never found him to lie about things, to over-exaggerate things. He's very intelligent. He's been staying up like I have, and like all of us have, seen about, everything. And he goes, I'm always a rounded person. He says, I talk about the weather. I talk about how you can better your life. I talk about different things. He goes, but when I focus in on something, there's a problem. He goes, because I don't just focus in on one thing. He's been speaking about California for like 3 days straight, barely getting any sleep. I mean, Steve Quayle, Mike, I wish I could remember his name. And they're all on this focus in California, and he's saying this is serious, you guys. You need to wake up, get your head out of the sand. We got something going down. And all those migrants, those military-aged men that got led over our border, there was tens of thousands that went into California. Because California's like, come on in, live in sin, come on in. They let our enemies over the border. And nobody did anything to stop it. They've been laying low for months till everybody quiets down and forgets about it, and now they're arming them? Well, who? I'd like to know who. The UN? What are Chinese doing here with blue helmets on all the way up through Canada?
Yeah, that is very interesting. How are they there? Why are they there?
Shad just said, warning, potential major domestic attack on Seattle, Las Vegas on November 3rd during football game against Tampa Bay. Space Needle has new renovations just like Pentagon did on 9/11. Seattle has newly constructed tunnel underneath the city. Well, yeah, I do remember they were doing construction. That is true. I don't know.
Is that a football game that's going on in Seattle that day, Chad, on November 3rd?
I'm going to go
between Tampa Bay and Seattle?
I'm going to switch over really quick because my Zoom's going to quit. Olive Branch just put in the chat the number, so let's switch over and get back onto Zoom. We'll be right back, guys.
Okay.
We'll be right back here. Okay, hello.
I was waiting for you both. I was like, what is going on? Where is everybody?
I didn't see it. That's funny. Okay, we're here. Is John here? Okay, John's here.
I'm here. I'm in.
Okay, what were you saying to Shad?
Is there a football game? Okay, it looks like Shad is saying yes, and that there's going to be a football game on November 3rd between Tampa Bay and Seattle. So it looks like they're going to do something at that time. So,
Now, was it that, what is that guy's name? There was a guy, Adam Green, that did a video on this. Is that what Shad is talking about? Is what Adam Green, the video that he did on about the Seahawks game?
Shad?
I'm not sure. They really have tough security at all these football games. I've been to some of these events recently, and they have very tight security.
Shad says, I'm guessing that's a he, is former Intel.
Yeah. That is there any inside information that you have, any inside sources that you have, Shad, that you can share with us?
Oh, you know what? Shad, why don't you come on? Can you come on to the Zoom with us and talk? Okay, Shad, are you able to come on to Zoom with us so that we can talk about this, or no? Let's see, I'm going to put it in the chat. I mean, this is getting weird, you guys. Oops, not me. Let's see. Shad, Google Zoom. Then join. What is it? Join meeting button.
Yeah, just join a meeting.
And then Olive, can you put in the code for Shad to join, please?
Most definitely, I'll do it right now. Right now.
All you need there, Shad, is a microphone on your computer, and you're good to go.
All you have to do is go Zoom and then just push join meeting and then put in this code that Olive Branch just gave you. It'll put the dashes in for you.
Yeah, I just copy and paste myself.
Yeah.
That's what I do. Makes it real nice.
Yeah, real easy to do.
Most
Copy and paste is the best feature of computers.
It really is. It really is.
Or just go to zoom.us. That'll also take you there too.
This is really getting like serious, guys.
It's funny because when you type in zoom.com, it actually takes zoom.us, which is kind of interesting.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, I always pay attention to the URLs of everything.
You know what freaks me out, and maybe not like, because I don't think I know God will protect us, but I'm on the West Coast. California is 560 miles from me. I'm just like, huh.
Yeah. It's only 300 miles from me.
You're gonna be just fine.
Yeah, but
you are totally just fine.
Won't it be crazy if I start seeing this crap? I'm gonna be like, Mama, I'm coming home.
There you go. There you go. And I think Shad has joined.
Okay.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes. Well.
Yes. Hi.
Hi. How you guys doing?
Well, doing pretty good. We're, trying to muddle through all this
doing really
mess.
good.
There's a lot going on.
Okay. Yeah, and I've been following these things for a long time. So let me give you guys some background on me and what I've been mostly following. Okay.
All right. Sounds good.
Sounds
right,
excellent.
So let me give you my story. Okay.
Turn off the if you have the video on YouTube, turn off the volume. So just hear it on your headset or speakers.
Okay, there we go. So I closed out the YouTube video. Now I'm just using Zoom.
Okay.
All right. So let me give you guys my situation.
Okay, you got the floor.
I currently live in the Seattle area, outside of Seattle.
So do I.
And I'm former military intelligence. I was a signals intelligence analyst in the military back in the 90s. I served for 10 years. I was in 82nd Airborne Division. I was a jump master. I served, the unit that I was with deployed to Panama, Central America, and ousted Manuel Noriega. Later on, my unit we deployed to Desert Shield, Desert Storm. I was in Saudi Arabia and Iraq and the United Arab Emirates. We were responsible for the destruction of about 13 Scud missile units. And during the invasion of during the invasion of Saudi Arabia, we killed, oh my God, we killed a lot of people. Come to find out, all these situations, they were manufactured.
I believe
when I got back, I later on was reassigned down to Panama, Central America, and I was with an Army reconnaissance low mission based off of Howard Air Force Base at Fort Kobe. And we were doing counter-narcotics missions over Central and South America. I was there for a couple of years. After that, I was reassigned back here in Washington at Fort Lewis, which I later was deployed over to Asia, to Europe, over in Germany, and subsequently reassigned down to Bosnia-Herzegovina at Tuzla, Maine. And while I was there, I actually met Bill Clinton. Now, I preface all this with the following, and I've typed up my story because this gets insane really quickly. And I knew there was a lot of craziness going on, but how this ties into a lot of other things that you guys probably don't understand or are unaware of. This gets dark. And I invite you guys to either type in notes as I go, because what you're going to discover here is darker than you can possibly imagine. I knew a lot of stuff based on the fact that I had a top secret security clearance. Carried that with me for 10 years. I got out in 1998, fast forward to August when the Jeffrey Epstein situation broke. And I saw all the people that I either worked with, worked for, or subsequently worked in a slightly related capacity to. I would highly recommend you guys read Confessions of an Economic Hitman by John Perkins, where he explains how they and parts of our government overthrow different countries. John Perkins was in several of the countries that I was in slightly before I was there, which made a lot of sense to me because we put an economic stranglehold to essentially grow our empire. And we do it in a variety of ways, from different types of pressures to assassinations to actually bringing in the military to overthrow the country. And this goes back to, this situation that we're currently involved in goes back, it's been going on over 100 years. This is the deep state, which I'm sure you guys are all familiar with. But it gets worse because we've had our hands involved in a lot of this stuff. We were involved in the Holocaust. This goes back to Operation Paperclip, bringing the Nazis back to our space program. If you guys go on to a website called GreatAwakeningReport.com, on that website there is a deep state map, which will give you a historical view of the overall picture of all these different operations throughout history, and assassinations and different plots in the space program, and this involves aliens, and it's insane how big this is. But here's where it gets really dark. With the situation with Jeffrey Epstein, I had been following situations like that, but what's happening with why Jeffrey Epstein was key. Jeffrey Epstein, he was CIA. He was flying and orchestrating missions over Central and South America during the Iran-Contra scandal. So while I was stationed in Panama, Central America, trying to stop drugs from coming into the United States, Epstein and his crew, and they never stopped after the Iran-Contra scandal, they were taking weapons down to Central and South America and bringing drugs in. And what they would do is bring them into California. And you remember a guy, I think his name was Rick, in California, essentially to, create a heroin / cocaine / crack epidemic across the United States. After that, Jeffrey Epstein is also part of the Trilateral Commission, which is part of is part of the thing that runs our world, essentially behind the scenes. Jeffrey Epstein was also flying missions with the State Department to give Iranian technology, or give nuclear technology to Iran with the State Department. So he's been doing part of the cabal, deep state, naughty stuff for years. And there's an excellent investigative journalist. His name is George Webb, W-E-B-B. George Webb has got over 170 videos just on Jeffrey Epstein. His playlist is called Jeff Epstein. I would highly recommend going and watching that, because you'll get a ton of information. He also has several other video series on our nuclear proliferation, hidden, with Ukraine and with other stuff. He's got a daily thing going on, and it's absolutely insane what the deep state has been involved with around the world. They were essentially trying to instigate World War III. And there's reports of on September 29th, Barack Obama, he was actually down in Gitmo. He was shot by firing squad on September 29th. There's actually a clone out there right now. Michelle Obama is not Michelle Obama. Michelle Obama is a transvestite or transgender by the name of Michael LaVaughn Robinson. The situation with Jeffrey Epstein, and what brought attention to me that I've been following along, George Herbert Walker Bush was head of the CIA. He was Skull and Bones. You guys got with Skull and Bones and these other secret societies, they do a lot with numerology and a lot with symbolism. And what they did was, what Bush did was essentially he weaponized pedophilia. for blackmail operations. And what I mean by that is the mafia was doing stuff like this long before. And I'm going to start to get shaky here because I have 3 daughters and 2 grandchildren. And what I'm going to talk about right now is might make some of you cry, because I broke down on my hands and knees and I cried uncontrollably and shook for about a week after realizing what I was involved with. If you've never heard of a honeypot operation, this is what a honeypot operation is. The CIA uses on top of MK Ultra and other things. Which, by the way, down in Gitmo right now, they've got Chris Christopherson because he was a MK Ultra agent. So what happens is, let's say you want to take over a police officer or a governor or a senator or somebody like that. Here's how a honeypot operation works. They have extremely powerful drugs which can basically turn you into a puppet. Mind-controlling substances like voodoo type drugs. They're very, very powerful. So in this situation, or in this example, this is what happens. They have let's say a fundraiser or a party or something at a hotel, a house, it doesn't matter. And they'll bring in kids from either an orphanage or off the street, it doesn't matter. There's tons of them available. And what they do is they will identify a target. They will lace the target's drink with a particular drug. They will have a prostitute that will start seducing the target. While the drug is taking effect, the prostitute starts seducing the target and lures them back into a private area. At that point, when it gets hot and heavy and this drug has taken full effect of the target, they've also drugged a child, usually a little boy or something like that.
Oh my God.
So this little boy and this target have no idea what they're doing. They're out of their mind. But what this team does during this honeypot is they will switch the prostitute out for the little child, and they will surreptitiously video record pedophilia. And sometimes, a lot of the times, the target doesn't know what they're doing. They're completely out of their mind. They have no idea. And so when it's done, they'll take the kid away. A lot of times they'll kill the child, or they'll take him and they will try to wipe their memory or whatever. There's a variety of things. And this has been going on. If you're familiar with Boys Town out of Nebraska during the 80s,
Right.
NXIVM, Pizzagate, Donutgate, whatever. George Herbert Walker Bush Sr., he started a group called the Finders, and they essentially go out and find children to do this. They've been doing this. All of the investigations, like the Franklin cover-up and stuff like that, would come to the doorsteps of the CIA, which would say, hey, this is national security. And all these investigations would stop. So they essentially, after the party or whatever, they'd come to the target the next day or at a later point in time, and they would, hey, we got to talk to you. Well, you're going to do exactly what we say, because lo and behold, we got this little tape of you fucking this little boy. If you don't vote this way, if you don't direct money this way, if you don't do exactly what we say, this is going to the police, you're going to jail. And sure enough, what happens to pedophiles when they go to jail? They don't see a light of day. They're the
Right.
number one target in jail, prisons.
Right.
So these guys have every incentive to do exactly what they say, because their lives are truly on the line. As evil as that is, their family life, and that's just an evil thing. And even George Bush, he was overheard at a party one point, saying, if they ever find out what we did, they'll string us up by the lamppost. They'll chase us down the street and string us up by the lamppost. So this is one strategy that they've used using children, but it gets far, far worse. In the United States alone, you'll find that it's really difficult to get statistics on kidnappings and stuff. And you actually have to go to each state and file requests and get the total numbers and then add them up collectively. Well, somebody actually did that. And it's jaw-dropping because just in the United States, the statistics are over 900,000 people per year being kidnapped and put into this system. And here's where it gets really fucked up. What's happening is there's a massive need for organ harvesting. Let's say you're a 75-year-old guy, you've got a lot of money, or you're an older person, you have a lot of money, and you need a pancreas or a kidney. Who's going to miss a kid from the streets? Who's going to miss a kid from Haiti? Who's going to miss a kid from China? So organ harvesting is a huge demand. Even in our hospitals, they'll pay doctors to botch a surgery. Oh, I'm sorry, ma'am, your son couldn't make it in this surgery. And they and it's worse than that because a lot of the deaths that people die in a car accident or whatever, behind the scenes, when you let your child or your loved one go, when they're done, you've got a shell. They completely take everything from inside as much as they can if it's sustainable. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry, and it's not just China. It's every country does this. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation in Arkansas was recently raided a few weeks ago by the DOJ and the FBI. They've confiscated everything. And I want you to remember this name. It's called Frazzle Drip. The New York Police Department has a snuff video of Hillary Rodham Clinton and Huma Aberdeen brutally assaulting a child, killing her and cannibalizing her, drinking her blood. The reason that they haven't been brought to justice is that the spider web that is the Clinton Foundation reaches across the globe. They're operating a huge human trafficking operation. That's why they go to Haiti a lot. And we're dealing with HARP weapons, modification of weather, creation of storms. They have the ability to control the weather. And so a lot of these storms that get created are masks, just like it was a mask for me in different military operations around the globe, where either the threat of being in a military conflict or the threat of weather which destroys homes and leaves people homeless, and you just go snatch kids. The person that was working with Bill Clinton down there and organizing this child care, or this orphanage thing, was caught and arrested for trying to smuggle 39 children into the United States from Haiti. And they found body parts in boxes down there after, like eyeballs in boxes under desks. It's seriously messed up. But here's where it gets worse. There's an ancient practice where Satanists actually believe that the eternal fountain of youth is the blood of children. And what they do is they have these ritual sacrifices of young children in hidden places, and they will terrorize the kids. And so here's the scientific component of all this. Just like baby snakes can't control the amount of venom that they inject, so they're more poisonous than adults. Same goes with children. Now, we all have adrenal glands near our kidneys. They look like walnuts. And in our brains, we have what's called a pineal gland. And we have very strong capabilities that our pineal gland provides to us, but they have been poisoning us with fluoride. Fluoride calcifies the pineal gland in the brain. And our pineal gland is essentially our third eye. We all have the capability to do really amazing things with our mind. We can remote view. We can have telekinesis, and we can talk to each other with our minds if we train our brains to do so. This is what MK Ultra and other things that the Nazis were working on, that they perfected. And so part of the MK Ultra program, and there's a whole bunch of stuff you can read on, they captured American citizens and your mind control stuff. They perfected it. They've created assassins. And that was part of what Jeffrey Epstein's situation was they were using these kids down at his little pedophile island, not only for blackmail operations of heads of state. You got celebrities and governors and President Clinton, who I shook that guy's hand. He's a tremendous pedophile. And you've got royalty and people in Saudi Arabia and the royal the princes, which, by the way, Trump had them arrested. They were one of the primary funders of terrorism around the world. Those princes for the Saudi family. And Trump's team went in under the cover of another event and had them simultaneously arrested. The Rothschilds, they had a oh my God. Try not to shake. The Rothschilds had a big forest the size of Manhattan. And what they would do is they'd have these people that were kidnapped from around the world. They'd bring them in, and they would have hunting parties at this forest. They would dress up little kids in little bear costumes and whatever, and hunt them in this forest. Trump's team shut that forest down and had it sold off. They've been killing the people in the deep state behind, quietly, not to raise alarms. John McCain was killed because, oh my God, Trump won't even say John McCain's name because there's photos of McCain setting up ISIS. McCain was a traitor. He set up ISIS. There's photographs of him in multiple meetings with leaders of ISIS. They created it. Obama, after he got out, set up a second shadow government about 2 miles down the street from the White House. He went over to North Korea and was planning to have North Korea be the precipice leading stage into World War III, nuclear World War III, which was that was the start of Hillary got in office. That was the end game. It's what exactly Alex Jones and David Icke have been talking about for years, and they're right. They're right on a lot of different things. So back to the adrenochrome topic. Adrenochrome, there's two parts to this. Satanists, people that worship Moloch or Baal or, the devil, Lucifer, whatever. The thing about how the Bible, it's partially right, but it's incomplete. And we're dealing with I don't mean to be rude, and you guys can look this stuff up if you want. This is my perspective from all of my years of dealing with this stuff. Aliens are real. They have been living here longer than we have. They walk among us. But the human sight is very limited. Our brains are very limited with our capabilities. The entire visual spectrum, we can only see a part of it. We can't see UV, we can't see infrared. We only see a very small portion of it. And there's technology that exists that we don't understand, where they can actually shapeshift. They can actually appear in a hologram to look like other things. And there's lots of videos. You guys can go look this stuff up. This is nothing new. David Icke has been talking about this. There's tons of videos. I'll leave that to you. But back to the adrenochrome thing. With adrenochrome, so when they're killing these kids, they have these rituals to terrify, like absolutely terrify these kids. And you can read the description of that Frazzle Drip video with Hillary Clinton and Huma Aberdeen. What they do is they brutalize them. They maximize when the human body enters into what's called fight or flight. Our adrenal glands inject epinephrine into our bodies to help us gain strength to make us stronger, faster, whatever. And when that epinephrine and other chemicals are rushed into our bodies, this practice with the collecting of adrenochrome is two parts. They, at the point of death, they drain the blood, capture it, and they also use a needle in the back of the spine to collect about 10 cc's worth of raw, pure adrenochrome. When blood that is filled with epinephrine oxygenates, that chemical reaction converts that blood into another form of adrenochrome. And what happens is they like there's a AP report, Associated Press report, a while back where Al Gore was getting off his plane on the tarmac, and he had a refrigerator with him, and that refrigerator spilled open, and there was blood, human blood. And so what these people do, whether it's Hollywood or people in the government, what they do is they use that child adrenalized blood as transfusions, and it's essentially it chemically lets you live longer, because child blood has chemical properties to essentially stave off disease, rejuvenate tissue and organs and stuff. It's very healthy. It's just scientifically speaking, that's just what it does. But the adrenochrome that's collected from the pineal gland, that's used as a drug. That's used as a party drug, where it's so powerful that it's like, think of in terms of drugs that are, like mixing meth and LSD and cocaine and acid on steroids. It's a super high and it's super addictive, but it creates problems that you get addicted if you'll go through these intense withdrawals. As far as these creatures, I mean, you can't even call them human anymore because they've been overtaken. And they can do body cloning and shit. It's absolutely insane what's going on. There's a disease dealing with cannibalism, and Hillary Clinton, and she exhibits some of the signs. I forget the name off the top of my head of the actual name of the disease, but you get the shakes and you get uncontrollable laughter, and you'll die of a really horrible disease. And this has been studied in other tribes in history that have this issue. This is the same thing as like mad cow disease, where we grind up the cows and feed it back to the other cows. They get mad cow disease. Well, this is kind of the same thing. And I'm not. What I'm about to tell you is sadly true, and just bear with me, because this one horrified me. And there's an interview, you guys can look it up. There's a rabbi by the name of Abe Finkelstein, and he gave an interview with a pastor. I forget his name, but you can look it up. Just Google Abe Finkelstein McDonald's. And this Abe Finkelstein was being interviewed, and he was just blunt and totally truthful about the following situation, where during Passover, there's a long historical running thing. They have a practice where they take the enemy, the child of their enemy, and for these people, this particular sect or this ultra-Orthodox set of Jews, take their enemy's child, which is Christians. This goes back to Cain and Abel, where they will take the child of the enemy. They'll take him down into the basement of a synagogue, and they will, I've got photos, they will bloodlet the child, drain the blood out, capturing the blood. And they will use that blood to make matzvah bread. They actually make bread out of human blood.
That's disgusting.
And they will take these children. I'm not making it up. You can look it up. It's an ancient practice. They've been doing this for thousands of years. And they've been hiding it. And oh my God, it's so bad. And they take these kids that they've just killed. And this Abe Finkelstein, he talks about taking these children that are dead and grinding them up and putting them into sausage at McDonald's. The hamburger meat. The FDA rated the food processing locations for McDonald's and other restaurants and found 90% human DNA in the food at these processing plants. Horse meat, human meat, on top of the cow meat. 90%. This is what they've been doing. And that's just part of it. It's so fucked up.
Yeah.
And there's a company called Ambrosia down in California. And they have on their website, they call it the Fountain of Youth. They sell child blood for $8,000 a pint.
Oh my God.
And you guys think about the whole abortion situation back in the 60s or whenever it was, where Roe v. Wade. This wasn't for women's rights. This was a method to collect more human DNA, more of these organs, and to collect the blood. And what they've been doing, you guys need to look up what's called HEK 293. HEK is an abbreviation for human embryonic kidney cells. And what they've been doing, it's called, I think the company is called Synemex, Synemox, I can't remember the spelling. Synemex HEK 293. They take the kidney cells of aborted fetuses and they flavor our food with it. They have been they've been having us cannibalize ourselves for generations now. I don't know how long. They flavor our food. It's in Pepsi. It's in Certs. It's in Doritos. It's in,
Yeah, I've heard about that.
They use our children that we've killed and have us eat it.
It's also in shampoo.
It's everywhere. It's insane. So you've got this massive demand that's grown over time, and they hide this stuff in movies. I mean, oh my God, the list of movies is insane that they just advertise what they're doing, but they do it so subtly. And I'll tell you this much, you guys should really consider the movie Jupiter Ascending as a documentary, because it's right there. Death Becomes Her. Same thing. There's little hints in all these movies. Monsters, Inc. These things deal with it. It's their way of telling us, see what we're doing? We're doing this right in front of you, and you can't do anything to stop us.
Right. Well,
adrenochrome is collected. Let me give you an example of just the monetary value of what is happening with this human trafficking situation related to adrenochrome. Adrenochrome, not only just in the United States, but worldwide. On the Canadian border, I don't remember the date, but there was a weight variance that caught the attention of the Canadian border guards. And they stopped 15 trucks, essentially trying to cross the border, and they captured, these little containers. I don't know what the shape or size or anything, but it was like, what is this liquid? And the drivers were like, I don't know, just taking this drip shipment. Well, they sent it off to the lab, and the lab comes back and says, oh my God, this is pure adrenochrome. What the fuck? They had 1,202, each of those things was like 44.1 pounds, over 1,202 pounds of adrenochrome. Guess what the estimated street value of that bust of those 1,200 pounds? That estimated value was 4.5 to 6 trillion, with the letter T as in Tom, $trillion. And that's just the 15 trucks that got stopped. That's I actually today I did the math. I did the math tonight based on 10 cc's coming out of each person on an average. It could be more, it could be less.
Okay, I don't know if anybody can hear me through my computer. We just got taken out of Zoom, so hopefully, Shad, you're still there. We're going to go ahead and reconnect to Zoom. Okay, hold on. Okay, there you go. Let's reconnect, guys. All right. Let's all go into the new one. The number has been put up. I don't know if anybody can hear me. I'm sure you probably can hear me. Okay, join a meeting. Alright, I'm coming back in. Let's see. 659-806-027. Alright, this will just take a second. We're on our way back, guys. Hold on.
So, okay, so where did I leave off? Where did you hear me last?
Okay, here we are. It was the
What was the last?
the last I heard is the street value. It was in the trillions, and then
Yes, that was it.
Yeah, if you want to read it, and this is what happens on the dark web. But look for a story online. Just do a Google search. Is the adrenochrome bust that you never heard about, and you'll be able to read what people were talking about on the anonymous forums, and there's some screenshots and stuff that you can actually see.
Well, I believe what you're saying because I've heard this before, and this is the work of Satan, is all I gotta say. This is disgusting.
Well, so I need to let you understand something. When you're talking about Satan, you need to understand we're dealing with aliens here too, and there's a race. And David Icke talks a lot about this, and so this is dealing with a group of aliens from the Draco constellation. So when you hear about reptilians, there's different types, and this is what the Bible is referring to when it's talking about Satan. It's essentially it's the horn beast and all that stuff, but they're aliens. They're completely awful. They're horrible, and they view us as food.
Are you sure that they're not fallen angels?
I'm not going to rule that out because with everything that's happened.
They're definitely fallen angels or they are demons. And even Aleister Crowley, he can confirm this because the bug-eyed, they would even come to him.
I'm familiar with all that. I'm
okay, very good.
I'm going to tell you about my experiences and my involvement being in the military intelligence.
Right.
Very good. Thank you.
They're all related, and there's a really good YouTube channel called Divine Awakening and Ascension, and just spectacular stuff. Like the other day, there's a 1-minute video on children frozen people coming across coffins of kids that are frozen for organ harvesting. One of her videos in particular had a video talking about had an embedded video or an included video of this guy that went onto the dark web, and essentially this cabal that's run with the reptilians, they eat human beings. And one of the things you can see, I've got a photo of, they've got a decapitated human body, a Negro, on a dinner table like a pot roast. Like we are their food. This goes straight to the whole, HEK 293. This goes straight to them putting it. These guys are truly evil, and they put us in our own food, and we eat our own people. And you're talking right about it. They're putting different chemicals from our own bodies into our food and supply products, and that's what makes us so sick. That's we've got cures for cancer. With the Nazis back then, they were investigating anti-gravity. We've mastered anti-gravity. We have our own space fleet. We've got a moon base. We've got people up on the moon. There's so much more, and there's a video of you guys should really consider looking into the SETI project, because we can actually communicate with not only with ourselves but these other creatures, and there's an ability where we can actually see them among us if we learn how to do it. And they the primary reason that they hide and they don't want to be discovered, and this goes straight back to like the movie They Live and stuff like that, but the primary reason that they don't want to be discovered is, look at how we treat one another. Just human beings treat one another. Just different cultures. We kill each other on sight. So they don't want to be seen. They just want to, go about doing their own thing. They've been here just as long, if not longer, than we have. There is so much life in the universe, throughout the cosmos, Andromeda Galaxy, and what's really cool, you can take this with a grain of salt, but this is what I've learned, is that in the Andromeda Galaxy, they view humans as royalty because we have divine gifts. We are actually spirits or souls temporarily inhabiting a human body to gain this human experience. So when we die, we go back into source, or temporarily, or however long. And we've been doing this a long time. And so this bleeds over from different theologies, practices throughout history, where you hear stories about reincarnation and what happens back, when we die, going back to heaven. Well, heaven is source. And I was trying to explain this. It was hard to do typing on a little phone keypad. But there's a really the most beautiful movie I've ever seen in my life that really gave consilience to a lot of the things that I'm talking about as far as religions throughout history. I would highly recommend watching this. It's called Samadhi. It's a free, award-winning documentary. You can call it a documentary if you want, but it correlates all of these historical teachings around the world, in different parts of the world, different cultures. And they were all pointing to the understanding that it wasn't about one religion over the other. It was primarily about reconnecting, raising our self-consciousness to a higher level. And this is where some of the Dead Sea Scrolls were trying to hide some of the teachings from Jesus. And this is how these things are all overrated. There's a really excellent guy by the name of Greg Braden. He gave a really good lecture on this. And this deals with some of the missing scrolls. And throughout history, the Bible was modified, and these key parts of the history of the teachings of Jesus were removed, and what he was actually trying to raise awareness of for everybody. And this was not me trying to be offensive last night, This was me saying that I'd recently watched the Greg Braden videos explaining the newly discovered components of like the missing gospel of Thomas and the missing gospel of Q, and some of these recovered documents were in the Dead Sea Scrolls and the Nag Hammadi library, which I've studied for years. And that part of these teachings that Jesus was trying to raise awareness were the same as in different parts of the world, where we are all, the kingdom of heaven is within all of us. And what he was trying to talk about was our divine spirit, our divine oneness that's within us. The kingdom of God, referring to the source, is within us, each of us. And when we get away from materialism and all this other stuff that distracts us from our own birthright to be something greater, to reconnect with source and turn away from these pleasures, we have these gifts where we can remotely view other locations around the world, or other places, other times. And this phase that we're going right now, and you guys can take this with a grain of salt. This is just my own personal experience. Because of the chaos of what I've been involved with, and I didn't have any answers. I was trying to just. I drive full time for Lyft, and I picked up somebody, and just the things that this person was saying just stunned me. So I actually sat down and talked with them, and they're a healer. And the things that this person said made me cry, because I honestly believe that I sat down with the angel of death, Azrael. And this angel of death said things that nobody would know. And the thing that you guys see, that you talk about new age stuff, it's not new age stuff. We have this, some people call them chakras, or this energy within us. And when you can see it, when you can tap into it and see this energy abound within each of us, you have these incredible powers to actually do the most amazing things. And none of it made sense to me. I was still just completely blown away. But we all carry within us negative experiences in our lives can be passed down from generation to generation, and we carry these energy blocks, if you will, that create stress within our lives, and we pass it on to our children unknowingly. And this is very recent scientific research, but I've been hearing about this stuff for years, and there's just so much research behind it. But these sicknesses and these mental problems that we face are blockages of energy that aren't resolved, and we carry this pain with us, and it's.
So I need to ask you. I need to ask you a question first, because being about your experiences and things that you've seen in the military. My family's all military. My father came back from Iraq, a different person, almost like he was possessed. He's still not okay. But my question to you, since you're a professional in this area, and I think a lot of people want to know this from you, is what is going on in California? Why is this happening, and are we under attack?
Are you guys familiar with the Fema camps
Yes.
across the United States?
Yes.
Yeah.
There's like 900 of them, and you can go online and watch these videos. These people have interviewed, the people that run them. The United Nations, there's been various reports about, at least in 10 different states, of United Nations vehicles being pre-staged in at least 10 states. There are activation reports by United Nations personnel, that's Russia and China,
Right,
to preemptively go into different locations. I don't know where. I don't know. I just don't know. But they are here.
I've
these
heard they're
FEMA camps.
Chinese. They're Chinese in the UN blue helmets. They've been seen in Canada, California, all over the United States.
That's correct. That is correct. They are pre-staged. We are faced with a pending U.S. soil civil war, and we are on the precipice. The president has been put in, he was evacuated from the White House. The White House is on lockdown. The Marines, they've evacuated the president. He's in an undisclosed location right now. They shut down, they ended the lease with the port of Long Beach,
right,
China. That Obama put in effect in 2012. So they've been using that as the staging, essentially a overthrow of the United States, just like in the movie, something Dawn. What was that movie?
Red Dawn.
Red Dawn, just like that, And so yes, Russian and essentially UN troops, from Russia and China or wherever, are in these camps, and they have hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of coffins. They have guillotines and other chemical agents.
I heard about that. They ordered guillotines.
There's like 75,000 guillotines spread out through these facilities. They have train tracks that go in through them. These facilities are, concealed behind, shrubbery and trees and stuff, so you can't actually see under the property. There's it's marked as federal property. And so these are kill camps, plain and simple. We are in the middle of what's called Agenda 21. This goes straight to the Georgia Guidestones over in Epinephrine. I can't even say the name of the city.
Are you telling me in layman's terms that the UN is involved in this coup and the foreign troops are trying to overthrow our president and our country by doing what they're doing right now? Is that what you're saying in layman's terms?
Yes.
So why California? What, they just switched to the Oak Bay port. Our military pulled out. Why isn't something happening? Why is this allowed to be happening in California, and where's our military?
Well, you gotta understand, our military is on high alert right now. There are 2 aircraft carriers stationed in the Pacific Ocean, and there are 2 aircraft carriers stationed on the Atlantic. They all understand what's going on. The president's very familiar with the situation. But you got to understand, in a country such as this, where you have over 300 million people and they are armed to the teeth,
right? Any
civil uprising, they have to do this covertly, because if this gains critical mass, you have killing all over the place. You have a civil war on a
global, yeah.
Oh my God, yeah. On an outrageous level that's never been seen in history. So they have to do everything they can to keep this as quiet as they can.
Okay, but one question I need to know:
what's the situation with the blackouts? Is you guys have been talking a lot about it, and I'm learning from you guys just like I am from other sources.
Right.
They're having evacuations and they're pre-staging for attacks. It's a critical area, but I mean, you're talking an area that's half the state, right, from Silicon Valley up to Mount Shasta. And I mean, you can see the map. If you just Google on the California blackout, you can see a map of how long it's been. It's like a 5-day pre-planned out outage.
Well, I hear it's up to 3 million people.
Yeah, I don't know the count. I don't know the count. But the area itself is absolutely enormous, and there's several sources that are talking about this. I mean, this is a pre-planned culling operation. This goes straight to what's happening. Are you familiar with the Georgia Guidestones?
Yes.
The number one thing on that is 500,000. Well, the
right.
population of the Earth is 7.8 billion.
Right.
That's a 93.5 reduction in the human population. And this has been planned out for a long time. This is skull and bones thing.
Okay, my
codes
one question, and I know a lot of people have this question too, is our military going to turn on the American citizens? Are they for us or against us?
My understanding is that it's a split. But I don't
heard
know.
that. I heard it's divided.
I do not know, because the deep state has had 70 plus years to infiltrate all walks of our life. I personally knew a police officer in Pierce County that was arrested. I knew this guy. He was arrested for this pedophilia stuff. He was working to blackmail people.
Right.
And so he did something wrong, so they outed him, and off to prison he went. I don't know if he's still alive or not. His name was Lee something.
I heard about that. I'm not too far from you, so I'm outside.
Yeah, I live
not too far from Seattle.
I live in Renton.
Well, this to me though, Shad, is getting to the point where sometime, and this is what I heard from Dave Hodges today, is the military will go in, or the UN, whoever who is doing this right now, they'll go in and they'll practice, and they'll call it practicing. They're setting up in case something happens, and they'll say this is just a practice, and then it goes live, because that's a way to surprise attack your foes.
Well, right now, without having, because, so you know about QAnon, right?
Yes.
How familiar are you with it? Because QAnon is essentially military intelligence and the NSA taking down the deep state. And oh, by the way, John F. Kennedy Jr., he's still alive.
Really?
Yeah, he faked his death. He's trying to, have retribution against it, for the CIA killing his dad. Yeah, he's very much alive. He's, you can watch multiple videos. I'd recommend, there's a video called Q, The Plan to Save the World Remastered, on the YouTube channel Joe M. I'd highly recommend that video. There's another guy that goes by the name of the user channel Praying Medic, and he has an introductory QAnon for beginners. It's about I don't know, 40 plus minutes or whatever it is. I don't know, but it shows a lot of the people that are involved, and how it breaks down how these Q drops work. And they're very, very meticulous on the information. It's like using the Socratic method to solve problems. Or ask questions like, "Hey, why?" It's just beautiful how they've done it. This plan has been in effect. So what you guys need to understand, this is much bigger than what people understand. So I'm sure you're all familiar with the Cold War and how people around the globe were like, hey, we don't need to blow up the world 714 times. Let's tone it back a little bit, okay? So during the Cold War de-escalation of our nuclear weapons, what took place was a espionage operation. Now, you guys need to be familiar with what's called the International Atomic Energy Agency. This is the organization governed by the United Nations. They are God when it comes to anything nuclear on our planet. You have to go through the IAEA. What they say goes. They govern everything. The Department of Energy is, for the United States, what governs our nuclear capabilities, all of our nuclear arsenal. During the Cold War, when we were de-escalating our nuclear devices, you can't just toss them out into the garbage bin and call it a day. It doesn't work like that.
Right.
You have to go through a very strict process because you're dealing with nuclear weapons. Now, just like you have in your house, you have a smoke detector. The IAEA has around the world installed radiation detectors because, well, human beings and nuclear radiation, they don't go well together. Since 1945, I'll get to that in a minute. and I can share you can read these reports. I'm not giving you anything classified. This is declassified information that I'm telling you at this point. So knowing that there's radiation detectors in populated areas, I can tell you this. There was an espionage operation that took place during the Cold War de-escalation of our nuclear weapons. And the goal was twofold. One, this operation had to infiltrate multiple components of our government, Department of Energy, the different parts of the military, the United Nations, the IAEA. And what they were trying to do was modify the accounting records of our decommissioned nuclear weapons. And they were successful. Upon completion of that successful accounting records modification, what they did was they stole 350 of our decommissioned Davy Crockett nuclear warhead pits. They replenished their stockpile, they being Israel. They sold some of these nuclear devices to rogue nations, and then they hid some of them. And when I say Israel, I don't want you to think this is me attacking Israel. There's it's called the Asakari Mafia. They've been around for eons. They're truly, truly evil. And there's a really excellent article on Veterans Today that talks about the history and what they've done. So we're talking about a Jewish mafia essentially doing this. And so what they've done, so since 1945 approximately, there have been 50 nuclear detonations surreptitiously detonated around the planet, some on American soil. The days leading up to September 11th, 2001, the FBI had under surveillance known espionage agents under surveillance in New Jersey. They knew they were up to something, but they didn't know what. They followed them and they parked 2 trucks in the basement of the World Trade Center buildings, the 2 Twin Towers. What they didn't know at the time is those trucks were very strategically parked. On the morning of September 11th, when those towers fell, all of a sudden, the IAEA, the International Atomic Energy Agency, with those radiation detectors positioned in New York, they started going apeshit. Hey, we've got radiation here. Situation really, really bad. So there's photos, of course, of the IAEA inspectors on site trying to figure out where's all this radiation coming from. Well, each nuclear warhead that's created, they have a very specific radiation fingerprint. No 2 are alike. And these are part of the records that the IAEA keeps every time a nuclear weapon, whatever country, so they can identify where it was made, who's there, what country owns it, where it's sold, all this other stuff. And so they'd start doing their tests, and there's overhead satellite imagery that was highly classified, showing these 2 craters, essentially. And what they found was, upon doing their inspection, lo and behold, here we have radiation signatures of a 1.5 kiloton nuclear warhead Davy Crockett W-54 pit. The very same ones that were stolen out of Pentax, Texas facility. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, 9/11 was not only an inside job, it was an Israeli job. There are photographs and video of the pre-planted pre-planted explosives in those towers. The towers were tanks. No plane could have brought those towers down.
Right.
The reason being is there was an exoskeleton and an internal skeleton. The exoskeleton itself was solid steel. There's no way that planes themselves could have done that.
No.
Then you have the whole problem with WPC-7, which fell on its own footprint, free fall speed. Oh, that's convenient. That was actually a twofold process to destroy a lot of the evidence, plus a gold heist. Yeah, it was a gold heist. So this part of the history lesson here, it deals with do you guys remember Valerie Plame and the big scandal surrounding that? Well, Valerie Plame, she was part of it. When we found out that our nukes were stolen, that created what's called Operation Able Danger, which was the simplest of terms: go get those nukes back. So in part of this, when we were realizing that we had a nuclear attack on American soil, oh, well, here's Valerie Plame, and she's got a deep cover operative working for her. And this is this story that I could share the article with you guys, is absolutely incredible. So this deep cover operative is tracing the evidentiary trail for these missing nukes for 9/11, because they knew it was ours, but she's following the trail of these specific nukes, and she hits a wall and does a U-turn straight back to the White House. And so what was happening at that point was Valerie Plame's team was going to arrest Dick Cheney for 9/11. He was the one that orchestrated everything. As soon as the White House caught wind that they knew the gig was up, they snatched this deep cover operative and tossed her into a supermax prison here in the United States to stop the investigation. It was at that point that high brass in the military realized that our entire government was corrupted from the deep state, who had been doing these child operations and everything else. And at that point, somewhere around 2015 or whenever that outing of Valerie Plame's agent, they started a coup. We've been in a coup since then. It's a soft coup, but it's a coup nonetheless. The president is not surrounded by the Secret Service. Secret Service was compromised. Our former presidents were compromised. All branches of government, Supreme Court, everything. They've all been compromised by the CIA and the deep state. That's why that's why nothing gets fixed. Anybody that goes into a position of leadership in whatever capacity, whether it's Wall Street, a police officer, a judge, it doesn't matter. You're a target. You are a target for this is a globalist takeover. This is a real world. What we are in is a real world version of the game of Risk, or the game of diplomacy. If you've ever played diplomacy, that's an ancient game. Essentially, they're trying to take over the world, to have a dual caste society where you have the elites and then everybody else. We're used as food or entertainment. Goes back to the whole shooting humans thing for fun and sport. And it's just insane.
So one question I have then is Trump, since he knows this, he called it out, he said it's a coup, the Marines obviously are protecting him right now.
No, stop right there. The coup that he's talking about was the deep state and the Democratic Party currently trying to do a coup.
Right.
That's the coup he's talking. He's surrounded by the military. They made sure that there was a legal election, that it wasn't going to be compromised like they were in the past. So not only is it a soft coup on our part to take back the government, take back control.
Hey, you guys, I just wanted to let you guys know that Zoom, it might cut off again. So just go back into the chat and get the new Zoom code if it cuts off. Okay, so go on now.
So you're telling me Trump doesn't know about the real coup?
Oh no, not at all. No. Trump was planning this. He's close friends with JFK Jr.
Right.
And they've been planning this for a long time. The military, upon recognizing that this was taking place, they actually asked Donald Trump to run for president. So there's the good coup instead of a coup d'etat, which, like, if that would have happened, it would have freaked everybody out in the United States, and that's just a really bad game plan. This can be explained much more simply if you guys watch the video on the Joe M channel called Q, the Plan to Save the World Remastered. My understanding, which blew me away when I learned this, I'm like, no way, that's so cool, is, don't take my word for this, I suspect it based on information that I've heard, but the guy that's narrating that video, I'm pretty sure that's John F. Kennedy Jr. So that might blow you away. I can't give that 100%, but I'm very much led to believe that's JFK Jr. Just take that with a grain of salt. I don't know 100% certain. I'm just very strongly led to believe that is him. He's gonna appear. I don't know when, but if there is an election, because right now with the United States Marine Corps reserves being called to active duty effective the 19th of October, because based on a national threat, which leads me to the whole Seattle Las Vegas thing, and that Adam Green video. It's like 2 hours long. He's analyzing a video from a guy in Germany, talking about this long planned Seattle destruction, which I don't know if it's going to be a nuclear attack or not. But because here's the other part of this that you guys need to understand, which is extremely important. Part of 9/11 on the attack on the Pentagon, they had recently been reinforcing a particular part of the Pentagon. Well, during that construction process, they pre-planted explosives in the Naval Intelligence Wing of the Pentagon. The Pentagon was not hit by an airplane. The Pentagon was hit by a Tomahawk cruise missile launched from the Atlantic Ocean by a German sub that was bought by Israel. And so it was a timed explosive, because what happened was they lured 35 able danger inspectors into the Naval Intelligence Wing that was recently rehardened, but it had a whole bunch of explosives in there that were set to go off when that Tomahawk cruise missile hit that part of the building. It was an assassination of 35 of those able danger inspectors so that our missing nukes would remain missing. The Oklahoma City bombing was most likely a nuclear device, not a fertilizer bomb. And currently, right now in New York City, well over 70,000 people are dying from nuclear radiation poisoning. That's why they're so sick. It's not toxic fallout from the buildings. That's nuclear radiation poisoning. And there's a whole bunch of articles you can read all about this, especially on Veterans Today, me being a veteran. But I'll tell you this much. If you've ever seen the movie Batman, where they have that football stadium, and they have that attack on the city,
right?
That's what you can visualize happening. And they've got different movies throughout history. And that video, if you can watch that entire video from, I think his name's Adam Green, that I put in the channel or the YouTube thing for you guys.
Right.
If you can watch his video, it explains a lot of the history, because the Skull and Bones and all they love their symbolism. They love to put things in plain sight just to fuck with people, but to like put their signature on stuff. And so there's a variety of different movies, just like with The Matrix and other things, that they tell you what's going on. Well, the plan, from what I can tell, is pre-planted detonations in key locations, and there's massive amounts of construction all over the city. Massive amounts.
Right.
And my understanding is this attack on Seattle. I don't know about Las Vegas. I don't know what the plan there is, but for Seattle, they've just renovated the Space Needle. They just did all that major construction on the Space Needle. Rehardening of the Pentagon. Well, I don't know the contractors that were involved in either situation, but I'm sure there's ties that are related. So they've just renovated the Space Needle. They have just finished building that tunnel underground Seattle. All that time leading up to something that's been planned for decades. And here's a new tunnel, newly renovated Space Needle, and a football game. And my understanding is that this involves some sort of rocket or missile. This involves a helicopter and a blimp. There's a new blimp.
But why Seattle?
Remember, this is the deep state's long-running plan for globalization. It's a key component to justify future actions. And you need to go watch Adam Green's video. It explains a lot more. I'm summarizing a lot here. There's much more information here. My concern is I don't know if this is going to be a nuclear attack, but there's talk about fire, a lot of people burning. There's a lot of sacrifice. They're big into sacrificing people for Baal or Moloch or Satan, pick your name. But the human sacrifices. This Jeffrey Epstein's ties. He was a linchpin for me, which I put all this together before I ever came across QAnon. Jeffrey Epstein, he has ties to the guy that did the Las Vegas shooting during that concert. Jeffrey Epstein has ties to other people that were training kids for school shootings. I mean, he was training these little kids with that gal. I mean, Jeffrey Epstein, because of who he was, the gal that was grooming these kids with him, her father, Robert Maxwell, who bilked out, he stole the pension funds of all his employees. He was a very well-respected, well-celebrated Mossad agent. And so here we have Jeffrey Epstein and Maxwell, Ghislaine, you got direct ties to the CIA and Mossad running a global, super elite pedophilia blackmail syndicate. And the FBI, they've uncovered bodies, bones of small children on that island. They were doing sacrifices, just like what I was talking about before. Divers have recovered bodies. They had incinerators, they were doing all sorts of sacrifices there, on top of training these kids to be assassins. MK Ultra program, Operation, what's it called? Project Monarch, which I highly suspect that my own daughter, my youngest daughter, was involved with. That's a long story in and of itself. And so this deals with the history leading up to this point in time is so nefarious and so dark. When you're
Hey, Olive, if you're out there, we got shut down again. All right, we're coming back on. Hold on, folks. All right, can you hear me, Olive?
Yes, I can hear you. So hopefully he joins in again very soon.
See, this is what we were talking about, though, when we're saying something's going on with California, and I don't even
Most
know.
definitely, yeah.
I don't even know what to say.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
I'm speechless. So
I mean, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
So,
I mean, just to show you the
what does
history
Trump?
here, I want to remind you.
Is Trump going to stop this, or what is his play right now? I mean, is this? I think he's in on it. I don't know. This system's going to happen anyways.
I'm very, very torn right now. When he started draining the swamp and getting rid of all these people and showing, that he's actually taking action and it looks really, really good, I'm thinking, yes, finally we're taking down the deep state. And then today I see that Adam Green video, and there was a part where I'm seeing Kushner with ties to property in Seattle.
What?
You gotta watch watch Adam Green's video. Kushner has property ties with some of the buildings in Seattle, including the Columbia Tower. I don't know. But what I do know is that the United States Marine Corps Reserve has never, ever in the history of the United States been called to active duty.
Right. That's what's worrying me.
They're going full active duty on 19 October.
Are we going into martial law because of this?
There's a very, very strong likelihood. I would recommend beans, bullets, and batteries ASAP. To tell your friends to get away from Seattle. Get out. I'm not personally, I'm not going to be 100 miles near this place. I don't know if there's going to be a nuclear attack or not. And I've been following this stuff, and my closest friends and people think that I've gone insane. But
right.
this is it's not like these guys are out there saying, "Hey, we're going to blow up Seattle on November 3rd." Just to let you know. I mean, they have the Freemasons are part of the whole enchilada here, where they're the builders. These are the guys that they've got. I don't know how many million people involved. So you're dealing with secret cults and all these other things.
Well, all I know is my father has been in the Army since he was, I think, 17. When he came back, I went to go visit him in Texas on a Biggs Field base for a couple weeks. He says, if I could only tell you, daughter, I can't tell you what has happened, what is happening. He couldn't tell me nothing. I didn't even know his job. I didn't know nothing. And he says, I can't tell you. This is bad. And that was a couple years ago, and he kept going over back and forth with Iraq. He was training. I don't really know exactly what he did, but when he came back the last time, they actually put him in a mental hospital. He lost his mind because of whatever happened, whatever he did or saw or was told ruined him. And now he's not all there. He's not okay.
It ruins life. What we've dealt with. I mean, I almost went insane myself. And what we do over there is we kill a lot of innocent people, and that's why the suicide rate for veterans is higher than it's ever been in history. And if you read the Ranger newspaper and all these other veterans information things, I mean, it's insane what's actually happening.
Well,
the trauma that is induced mentally on people that go out there and carry out these insane orders, they create these situations. It rips lives apart on both sides.
Well, I know he was in a he was in a mental state of he had to kill everybody, and it was okay with him on his second tour or something. It was getting to where it was normal for him, and he couldn't come back. He couldn't get back into society, and all he wanted to do was kill. He had to kill. He had to kill them. He had to kill them. And I was sleeping on the couch one night, and I heard like how when you grab a gun and you check it for ammo, he was crawling like he was down, and he had this huge, massive gun. And I said, what the heck? And I was so scared to move. I said, you move, you're going to die. And he was hunting in the living room behind the couch. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to die.
It truly becomes second nature. I mean, your reality is so skewed, so torn from your reality is something completely different.
Right.
I've been in jobs where I would dream about, tech related stuff, And that was, you know, some of the good stuff. But the bad stuff, you truly do enter into this alternate mindset.
Right.
It's you can't really explain it unless you've lived it. And this is what's destroyed so many lives in all these different wars.
Right.
And so my situation right now, not only am I not going to be anywhere near Seattle on November 3rd, because I don't know. Okay, here's my opinion. If nothing happens, then Trump, I think, was able to stop it. He's a good guy. If something does happen, I'm split, because either he failed to stop it or he allowed it to happen. So it's really a hard, you know, to do the statistics on that.
How can he fail to stop it? He's in control of our military, is he not?
Well, he's in control of our military. He's commander-in-chief.
Then
yes.
How can he not prevent it? Unless he's in it.
That's what. Well, that's just it. This is where I'm not. I don't know, primarily because watching that Adam Green video and showing the ties with Kushner in the real estate area here in Seattle, I'm like, holy shit. Well, Kushner's working, he's Jewish, and he's working, you know, with the president. And I'm like, okay, so did he recently buy the stuff to stop the attack? Or is he taking over control of it in order that they disassemble the explosives that were in these buildings? I mean,
okay, but look at what Trump just did.
I know for a fact. So listen to this. Listen to the Columbia Tower, the Skyview Observatory at the Columbia Tower. They did a renovation of the Skyview Observatory, massive reconstruction project that took a great deal of time. I don't. It's beautiful up there, but they completely retrofitted it and changed the elevator. The ride up is this new system, and the whole floor changed. It's absolutely beautiful. But okay, so you've got a new construction project for the tunnel. You've got retrofitted Seattle Space Needle, the Columbia Tower. How many other construction projects that have been taking place? There's massive construction all over the city. This has been going on for years.
Right. But here's something that
idea.
I think ties into this, because what just happened on the Syria border with him pulling our U.S. troops out, he knew what he was doing. He knows that by pulling our troops out of there, that the Turkish were going to come over, slaughter those Kurds, but that opens up a gate for everybody east of the Euphrates to come over and attack Israel. At the same time, we have this going on in our country. We've got Egypt in an uproar. We've got Iran doing its stuff. We've got that tanker that was just attacked by an unidentified aircraft. We've got all these armies marching. This is worldwide, but Trump knows what he's doing. He did that on purpose.
We're experiencing World War III. It's all setting up stage for World War III in a different way. Now, I don't know if because of how the nukes are involved with Israel, he wants other countries to go in there and just wipe them out and get our hands off it, because the whole Middle East, they know you read Middle East news about the shit that Israel's doing over there, it would make your skin crawl.
So I thought Trump was with Israel. He was buddy with Netanyahu, and this is my buddy, and now all of a sudden he's cut ties, he's ignoring it, and he let them come in.
Netanyahu was fucking responsible for 9/11. He was directly responsible for the people involved that were directly answerable to Netanyahu. Netanyahu's like deep in he's like public enemy number one. He's been puppeteering the United States with these stolen nuclear weapons for decades now.
So that's
and
why,
they've used them on American soil.
That's why
he knows
Trump pulled out those troops, because that enables those countries to come wipe out Israel. But then he's also just said that he's sending thousands of U.S. troops to Saudi Arabia, because Saudi Arabia is now paying for it. So he's sending out thousands of troops to Saudi Arabia because Saudi Arabia agreed to pay the U.S. money for it.
Right, and them being our ally, and remember, they had all those princes that were essentially funding all the terrorism around the world, and he went over there and cleaned that shit up, arrested all those guys overnight. Like, I don't know, 9 or 19 Saudi princesses were instantly arrested, and there's videos, there's a lot of symbolism here, but there's pictures of Trump being awarded a golden sword, I think, or some sword.
The year of the
Look
sword
up that
dance.
picture. Yeah, and then there's also a picture of those people putting their hands on that glowing globe.
Right.
So he's gone over there, and now Saudi Arabia is truly an ally in the region with us, and not doing what they were doing, that awful shit before. They're actually doing good stuff. Now, with this whole Ukrainian thing, you need to watch George Webb's videos concerning the Ukraine deal and the Iran deal, because this is the spread of our nuclear devices around the world, and how we're selling and essentially preparing for World War III. And different types of nukes for researching oil. You can detonate small weapons underwater to get signatures back for underground drilling for minerals and stuff.
So why
and they've been selling this stuff.
the UN though on our soil, and why are they flooding our country? Who let this happen, and what's going on with that?
This is, remember, Trump has been wiping out the deep state, and this is their last. This was already planned a long time ago. I think they just sped it up because Trump was taking everybody out, and they knew that with over 100,000 indictments about to be unleashed, that they have to accelerate their plan, which was the population killing, overthrow the United States, to silently start killing a whole bunch of people with these FEMA camps, with all these guillotines and all this other shit. So I'm seriously thinking of leaving the country, because shit's about to get really.
So
really
basically,
really
Trump knew that by pulling those armies out, that opens the gate for them to attack Israel. He's on board with the fact that Israel is to be wiped out. Iran wants to do it. Turkey's coming for Israel. Their goal isn't Syria. It's Jerusalem. Just like the rest of them, they all want Jerusalem, and he opened the gate.
Exactly, and this goes back to the ancient Cain and Abel thing. I mean, these guys were everybody over in Israel, everybody over in the Middle East knows what Israel's been doing, and Trump has been setting this stuff up quietly, playing them for the fool, and letting this situation, because they've been playing us. They've been puppeteering the United States with our own nuclear weapons, and so they've had to do this to get out from under control of this. So Trump's a fucking genius. He's laid this foundation to get this mafia that's been running this show wiped off the face of the earth, because these people are truly, truly evil. They are beyond evil. They think they want to kill everybody, because they honestly they have a psychological belief that that everybody wants to kill them. So they have a fundamental approach of kill first, ask questions later. Like, that's just how they operate.
So whatever deal.
No, this is not all Jews. That's just this mafia.
So whatever deal was made, where I believe the peace deal is already let out to everybody else but the general population, there was some deal, I'm thinking, this is my speculation, that he agreed with the United Arab Emirates, the Gulf state regions, that he would back off And there's some deal that they've already made, or this wouldn't be happening, is what I'm trying to say. They made some type of agreement, and they're all headed for Jerusalem. And Trump knows it. They've made the deal, and they've already agreed on it. And Israel thought the whole time the peace deal and non-aggression was going to be to help them, but it's against them. Everybody's against, and they're coming for Jerusalem, period. They're coming for the world, but they want to take Jerusalem out. They want to wipe Israel. Iran said, we're going to blow you up into such small pieces, you'll be having to pick yourself off the bottom of the ocean in small pieces.
That's all the shit that Israel's been doing that we haven't been paying attention to. They are bloodthirsty around there, and they have our nuclear weapons, and that's part of Operation Able Danger. So yeah, this whole thing is to get Israel, get this mafia that's running Israel, eradicated, because they have killed hundreds of millions of people.
So was that the peace deal that he's made behind the scenes to everybody, and they've agreed on it, and it's in action as we speak?
I believe that's the case. I mean, I currently don't have access to classified information. I'm piecing this together like everybody else is.
Right. But this is what it looks like.
WikiLeaks has a lot of information.
Why all of a sudden is everybody working together and agreeing on this when never before in history has that happened? They're all working together. America, Russia, and the Middle East are working together as we speak.
The CIA has essentially, these dark groups and the deep state have slowly infiltrated every facet of the world using these different tactics of blackmail, of bribery, of, you name it. And so we had to come up with a really careful plan to undo all this, because Israel's part of this deep state, the Kazakari or Azakari, I have to look it up. This mafia has done some really evil stuff. They've been the ones behind it. And so
I have a question for you, Shad. How did you come across this channel here?
Well, during my research, I guess, related to the things surrounding Jeffrey Epstein and different topics, because I was getting into, esoterics and history and all this. So there was just my feed came across related interests, and so I just your channel and so there was some I don't even remember the name of the video that I came across, but there were some things that you guys were talking about that caught my attention, and so I started listening. But there's so many different channels and so many different
very true. But there's another thing that I want to bring up. If you watch Adam Green, which I think that you do, Trump is in bed with Israel. I mean, he even has that Kabbalah Life tree award on his wall.
You gotta remember.
He also has a Babylonian goddess crotch on the side of his building.
Yeah, let me respond to that. Remember, Trump is a master troll. He has to play and make the appearance of things so that he can do other things.
That makes
sense. But do you know much about his father? Do you know much about Trump's father?
I don't. And this
you really need to investigate it. This rabbit hole goes really far back.
It does. Really it does. Back. It totally does. But then I'm seeing things on both sides, both good and bad. And so it's hard. It's really hard to judge on these things. Like some people are saying he's the return of Christ.
Yeah, I mean, that's how bad it is. I mean, he's coming for the religious end. And I don't know how much that you believe in the Bible, but see, the Bible speaks of the political beast, and it belongs to Satan. Well, it's the dynasties. And do you know who owns the Republican Party? Yeah.
What's that?
Do you know who owns the Republican Party?
No, I gave up trying to figure that out a long time ago.
It's Sharon something. It is Sharon something, and he's a billionaire Jew, and there is so much blood on that guy's hands.
Yeah.
I mean, Trump said that he drained the swamp. Well, he filled it with the bottomless pit.
Right.
Yeah.
He did. These are vermin. And I'm just telling you this because I don't know that if you know. I mean,
so here's my response to that. I guess I honestly think that if the situation in Seattle on November 3rd in Las Vegas, if that is stopped, then he's good. If that is going through, then I'm honestly torn. I don't know, because you're right. The rabbit hole goes very deep. You could go either way. I just don't know. And these guys, the Skull and Bones and all this other stuff. I don't know if Trump
and
has
Jesuits,
Jesuits, Luciferians. I don't know if he has positioned himself secretly over the years to have associations with these characters, these bad people, to play them out in this time. I mean, honestly, it would be amazing if he turns out to have played all these people over these years to build these relationships and then to bring them all down simultaneously like this.
But see, that's really a false hope. It really is.
I'm optimistic, but I don't know. I don't know. We're dealing with people that are truly psychopathic. I hope he saves us.
But if you research Trump's father and his family, and Trump, even as a child, was on a painting in Chase Bank, and this was before folks even knew about Trump. Yeah, he's on a painting of Chase Bank. He was born during a blood moon eclipse. I mean, these folks, they are occultists. They are all about the mysticism. It's very deep.
I remember, and this is just it. These guys are so tricky. They will sacrifice. I mean, even during the Holocaust, if you look at the census data before and after the Holocaust, it wasn't millions. It was only a few 100,000, because they used that as a precipice for having their own state. And it was so messed up what they did.
Yeah.
They killed over 100,000+, 200,000 of their own people. So this whole illusion of cleaning up the swamp to bring about, love and peace, that could be another layer to this whole thing. I just don't know. I hope not, but my God. And what I was talking about with Nasara yesterday, this whole Nasara thing, part of Adam Green's video touches on the Phoenix and the encrypted gold back. So Nasara has already been proved. It's already activated. Trump activated like three or 4 days ago. He sends out these coded messages, but if you go back and look at the Economist 1988 cover, which is in Adam Green's video, which really, this was the other part of it that really concerned me, is they're talking about this new global economy back in 1988, which is called the Phoenix, and that's part of Nasara. Nasara is active right now. As soon as the economy collapses, because right now the Federal Reserve is putting in over $100 billion per night into the banking system to keep it afloat. And the only reason that we haven't flipped over is primarily they're waiting for it to collapse, because you're going to close down the IRS, they're going to close down the Fed, everything's going to freeze. And Nasara is active. Now, there's two different types, but it's run by a quantum computer and a satellite. It's unhackable. Whether that's extraterrestrial technology, I don't know. Could be. Most likely is. But even in that article in 1988, they were talking about a quantum computer. So they've known about this for a long time. And so I don't know if this whole illusion of this world peace thing through mass world hysteria that we're witnessing, and these potential atomic a nuclear attack or a massive attack of some sort on Seattle and Las Vegas is a precipice for this to switch over. I think it might all be timed. I don't know. There's so many moving parts. There's so much unknown.
There is, but do you remember the September 23rd stuff that was going around in 2017? And there was a video that started off by Green Day that says, "Wake me up when September ends." And they had a football stadium blowing up. They had a tsunami coming over San Francisco and all of that. So
remember,
and I'm bringing that up because some of these things are induced to invoke fear upon folks.
Of course, yeah, of course. And we have the HARP weapon. They were able to create hurricanes out in the Pacific Ocean.
Yeah.
And they create these hurricanes in conjunction with child trafficking. It's just
I bring that up because this November stuff, it could just be a psyop. They have their psyops.
Absolutely, yeah. Another false flag attack. These guys are seriously evil. So, and these secret societies are working together. They don't have any accountability. The Freemasons,
you have Satan's spawn, and then you have the spawn of the fallen angels.
The Rosicrucians, all these secret societies. They're honestly, I believe they're working together, and it's truly frightening. I mean, it's massive, and so I mean. I don't put it past what you're talking about with Trump's history and his family. I don't put it past him being a double triple agent of the deep state. Hiding as the good guy to wipe the swamp, and then here we go into stage 3 of world domination.
Well, yeah, because the Word of God, it says that you are to know them by their fruit. So we know them by their fruit, not the sugar that they spew out of their mouth. Because what Trump is doing for the Republicans is what Obama did for the Democrats.
Well, you got to remember, there's military tribunals set up down in Gitmo, and they've been killing a lot of people. Like John McCain was killed. You got people that are body doubles now and you remember this bigger plan was to say how involved these extraterrestrials are from different galaxies and different parts of the solar system. Look at that deep state map and see how intertwined everything is. I don't know. It's insane. It's just
the occult, and I really encourage you to study Trump's father and study his family. Study what is in his penthouse.
I'm going to study how to get the hell out of Seattle. I don't need to.
There you go. But I'm going to tell you something though. Do you believe in Christ?
So, I believe that there was a person that went by Jesus Christ, but my understanding of his teachings were very conciliant with teachings of other great teachers in the past, of other cultures that were trying to teach the same thing. And because the Bible was modified by these same cultists, that
is harlotry. No, that is harlotry, and this stems back to like the ancient astronaut stuff. So I really encourage you to, because your fallen angels and demons are real, okay, and they are seducing. They are seducing. And historical Christ is so proven, and you cannot deny it, okay? The death and resurrection of Christ has been proven. He's the only one. Okay? So I really encourage you, because this fear, it will go away, because you will be, you are protected by the blood of Christ, and you can cast Satan out and remove it. You can anoint your home, and all the bad stuff goes away.
Can I make
I'm
a recommendation? A couple of them. There, Greg Braden talks about some of the missing gospels and how they fit into this. I would also recommend, just food for thought, do what you want. There's a book called the Sophia Code. And I've been told that I followed a trail that my entire life has led me to this. There's multiple dimensions.
Yeah, the Bible even talks about the dimensions.
I've been told that I am from the 11th dimension.
And this is like Kabbalistic stuff.
Yeah, no, it's different.
Is.
It's different than that.
You should, but I mean, this stuff is very demonic. And it's very seducing. It's like a lot of the Gnostic books that Paul spoke of, and he called them the doctrine of devils.
Well, you got to remember there was multiple versions, different sects of Christianity, and the Essenes were one of the earliest. And this is where Mary Magdalene, or Mother Mary, or whatever, she was part of the Essenes, and she's the mother of Christ. This is the same thing. She was sending the same message when she walked on earth.
But the stuff, I mean, we can go back to Nimrod and Tammuz and Semiramis. I have heard all of this stuff. I know all about the Babylonian stuff. I know about the ancient, and all that.
I tell you what,
it goes deep.
Take this with a grain of salt, and here's where I'll leave this conversation, or I'll bow out and listen to what you guys talk about. But I've been working on, as a driver here in Seattle, I've been working on a book that deals with my passengers, and I have a website. It's called backseatwisdom.com, and one of the pages there I created is called Awakening Your Wisdom. And I've put links to various videos that deal with some of the things that we're talking about. One in particular is a series by a guy named Damon T. Berry. It's called The Secret of the Forever Time, which deals with stargates, which deals with history, which deals with ancient Babylonians and cave paintings around the world, all this other stuff that I don't think that a lot of people have ever even.
No, but see, these stuff I have studied. I have studied this stuff. The rabbit hole goes deep, and I'm telling you, these are seducing doctrines, especially if your soul is so easily to.
Do you understand that part of the reason of why we're so involved over in the Middle East is that they discovered a Stargate.
Yeah, they're trying to bring in their god Lucifer, and they're also trying to open up portals.
The way they were trying to open up a portal was with the Large Hadron Collider. That was one of the ways they were trying to do that.
Yeah.
So, but
they also want to bring in these fallen angels.
The way that the sun morphs space-time, it's actually, the sun itself is actually a Stargate. And there's photographs, video of, this has been happening for a little while now. You can actually see you can look at some of the spaceships are coming out of the sun. Literally going into and out of
stuff. It goes back thousands of years. This goes back to the first influx of the fallen angels, and with the Geber and their children. What is that? I didn't. Okay, we're on a 10-minute countdown. But no, yeah. But this
It's all coming together.
Is that Amber?
Yeah, it is. I'm trying to get in here. I'm going to go ahead and close this stream down. My studio, my feet are frozen. I cannot feel my toes or my fingertips anymore. So I'm going
sweetheart.
to give Olive, is there anything that you would like to have the floor for to end this with? Anything you'd like to say?
I would just like to say Christ is the only way. He is the only way. And there's nothing new under the sun. He is the truth. He is life. He is salvation. He is our protector. He is our savior. And this goes back thousands and thousands of years with the demonic and satanic influence. So that's what I want to say. So I'll let Shad have his.
Yeah. Shad, do you want your closing statement or anything?
Well, I appreciate everything that you guys are doing, trying to understand the chaos of this current situation. I think we all are. I think, we're all concerned for, our fellow man,
Correct.
our fellow human. I want to know, I want to know what's true regarding future chaos, whatever that involves, whether it's the Fema camps or if Trump is good or bad or what's happening with our military, because, I spent 10 years of my life and we were all deeply betrayed. All of our wars were manufactured.
I agree.
And during warfare, they utilized the chaos of military conflict to hide some really awful, dark things. And so, realizing that, I quickly realized that not only were the people that we were killing innocent, but we were, funneling all these innocent kids and other people through this meat grinder. And I personally, I want retribution for all of these evil people that have done this. But they're so tricky. They are so devious. I don't know if this is the next phase. So,
well, I definitely want to thank you, Shad, for coming on here and talking with us, and I really appreciate it. I want you to come in again. I think you have got a lot of good points that you've made.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, so please stop in anytime, come in and chat with us. I thoroughly enjoyed you, and I am saying I'm going to let my daughter, who's really excited to come on live, she is going to say something here really quick, and thank you everybody for coming in. We love you guys. Olive, I love you dearly. I want to speak to you here after the show, but I'm going to have my daughter say a few words, so here she is.
Hi, everybody.
hello.
Hi, baby girl. How are you doing?
Okay, go ahead and say it. Ready?
Good night, everybody, and God bless and Watchman Watch. And don't forget to subscribe and link down below and leave some comments for us.
Good
And
job,
subscribe
baby.
and hit the notification bell so you get notice of a video.
Good job. All right, everyone. Good night and God bless. Watchmen watch, and don't take your eyes off Jerusalem. I'm out.